should join this organization. It's very, very reasonable a year. They teach you how to run the camera. They lend you the camera equipment to go videotape your own shows, and yeah. Yeah. And you can do, I do another program here called Never Quit Hers, quit-hers, and it's about older women that are still doing all kinds of things in the community. And we do that right up here. We put a couch up here. And yeah. Hello and welcome to Poets Know It. We're coming to you live from Cam Erie on West 12th Street in Erie, PA. I am Thasia Ann, and we are ready to have some fun tonight. There's lots of poetry news going on, so as each poet comes up, they're going to share with you the things that they're working on. And my news is I'm going to be 70 on the 10th of November. Woohoo! And thank you, Jesus. I have several poet friends here tonight, so let's get started. I'm going to read a couple little ones out of my book, Broken Branches. And the first one is a 3-part haiku. Impending winter, dancing, fluttering, leaves letting go of the branch, seasonal dancer. Colorful tutu, green, red, and gold perfection, skipping to the ground. Bare, shivering branch, icy, crunching, brown debris beneath naked tree. And the next one is called Diagonal Birch. And this was a true story. I was actually at a writing workshop, and the lady was very knowledgeable and going on in great detail. And I couldn't keep my eye off the window where there was a birch tree out there and the little leaves were doing this. And so while I was supposed to be learning how to write better poetry, I wrote, dancing birch, diagonal sapling birch, perched, no sway dancing, distracting me in the window, framed. Futile, few leaves try to remain vital. I have a connection to the lean, diagonal birch, does distracted wind dancing, and the leaves leave to clutter. I demand dance lessons, and I pretend a perfection I fear, and I hate being inwardly turned. So, who wants to be first up to the mic tonight? I want to point out that we girls, the 3 girls, we are outnumbered double. There are 6 guys here to read poetry tonight. So one of you girls want to come up, or do you want us to spread it out? Okay, Chuck, you said I could call on you, so I'm calling on you. Well, nobody was waving their little hands.
Thank you,
First up to the mic, Chuck Joy.
Second. Yeah, great. I'm pretty sure this is recording the audio. I have 3 poems for tonight. The first one is from Main Street Rag, and some of you may be familiar with this magazine. Some of you may publish it. The poem that I have here from the current edition is called Palermo's Bakery. A loaf worth the trip, the old neighborhood, black streets trimmed white with frozen snow, railed walk-ups, brick storefronts. Palermo's Bakery, parking tight, cars lined up under plate glass windows. Inside, the line almost back to the door. Then there she is, Cara Mia, the baker's daughter, working the register. Happily, you watch her from your place in the line. She serves 2 ladies an order of cookies. They add 3 loaves. An older man, his older wife, 7 loaves. The gentleman ahead of you, 4 loaves. Your turn. Cara Mia, She smiles, hello. Bells are ringing in your head. Can I have 2 loaves? She goes to the back, comes back, her lovely face utterly flat. Sorry, no more loaves, temporarily sold out. Takes a while to sink in. You maintain eye contact as your face collapses. A grumbling rises from the line behind you. You remember where you are. A shelf on the wall holds bags of rolls. Yes, she says, those are available. You answer, all righty, I'll take 2 bags, please. Karamia smiles, and you smile. Thank you. And the next poem is also from a journal. This is called the Bridge Lit Journal. This is an annual publication from our neighbors in Venango County, the Bridge Literary Group. And I'm pleased to be included in here. I've had several terrific experiences with workshops and other events involving the bridge in Oil City and Franklin. And I may have read this poem here before. I hope you enjoy it. It's called My Favorite Things. The Coltrane version. You coming home. A medium hot original coffee with just a half serving of cream. Hockey night at Erie Insurance Arena. Arthur Avenue, particularly Mario's. Me reading poetry to cameras. Hot weather, a sand beach, blue water, books, towels and radios, rock and roll. That gray bathing suit, a steady walk into full immersion, standing around, a handful of others, playing with a ball. The children, their children, the places they live. Art movies in theaters, picnic lightning, New York Tendaberry, the Pittsburgh Steelers, a wide view with snow in it. Every memory a blessing. You again, a poetry stage, trains. Thank you. And I'm going to conclude with a cover. Thasia is right. We like reading covers. This one is from Gail O'Hare, and it's called Small Town. It's from this same journal, the Bridge Lit Journal. Past the lone fix-it shop at the stop sign, to the right of the skeleton of an Esso pump, an original box building, intact, with add-ons over time, corrugated metal in the 30s, wood in the 60s. A Coca-Cola sign leans, yellowed, against the shop window. A second door, added at the side near the picked-over ribs of pallets, is unlatched, opening and closing in the thin breeze. This is the place where local farmers gather between the businesses of sharpening and cutting. If I pause too long at the crossroads, I will become the dog lying in the dust, a servant to stillness, listening to the corn yawn, and only lifting my head to watch a disturbance on wheels, my unfamiliar other self, pass by quietly toward some unseeable limit. Thank you. Gail O'Hare. Thank you. Thank you, Thasia. Maybe those women will respond to that.
Yeah, well, I'm going to call on one of the women. Let's see, Eenie, Meenie, Miney, Mary Ellen.
Thank you, Thajan. I'm going to read 2, maybe 3. It just depends on. my breath. The first poem that I'd like to read tonight is going to be printed in an upcoming anthology called Iconic, the Anthology of Erie Poets. It's going to be coming out before the end of this year, and it's a collaborative project between our group, Northwest PA Poetry, and the Gannon University English Department. And Clayton Bradshaw Middle, who heads that department, has been very instrumental in pulling this all together. He couldn't be with us tonight because he's so busy right now trying to get this thing done. But at any rate, this is the poem, my poem, that was selected to be in the anthology. It's called Vinyl Memories. The collector left without instructions. What to do with 5,000 LPs. Analog sound on vinyl, 33 1/3 revolutions per minute, collected over 8 decades. A lifelong passion, perhaps an obsession, or a spiritual experience through music. Classical, choral, operatic, jazz, cataloged in the Schwann system for easy retrieval. Meticulously palmed at the edge so that fingers never touched the vinyl. A gentle brush removed dust. Stereo, stylus, turntable, woofer, tweeter, libretto delivered the optimal experience. With the lazy boy slightly angled, linear notes rested referentially on his lap, citing performers, productions, lyrics, credits. Hours beneath Bose headphones canceled interfering noise, and closed eyes evoked ecstasy. The collector left without instructions. What to do with 5,000 LPs? So that poem is very important to me. First of all, I like that it was selected for the anthology because the anthology is a collection. It's a collection of poems from this region. We all collect stuff, things, whatever, and I was really pleased that this was selected. The other reason is it is a poem about my husband who passed away 2 years ago today, on this very day. So I was hoping I could get through it without having a problem. Yes. Anyway, thank you. Oh, sure. Well, it'll be in the Iconic anthology. So I've decided to read a poem from Spoon River, which is a fun thing that's going to be happening here in Erie on December 6th and 7th. This is an anthology of poetry that was written by Edgar Lee Masters. Oh my gosh, when was it written, Chuck? 1913. And it is about this town called Spoon Rivers and the people who lie in the cemetery there. And they each have a story that's unique and interesting. And this group of poetry has lasted for a long time, more than 100 years, and was taught in high schools. I think it may still be. But at any rate, we're going to do a live performance of this on December 6th and 7th at PACA. It's a collaboration, again, between Northwest PA Poetry and the Performing Arts Collective. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to read a poem. It's called Lucinda Matlock. Moi. I went to the dances at Chandlerville and played Snap Out at Winchester. One time we changed partners, driving home in the moonlight of middle June. And then I found Davis. We were married and lived together for 70 years, enjoying, working, raising the 12 children, 8 of whom we lost, ere I had reached the age of 60. I spun, I wove, I kept the house, I nursed the sick, I made the garden, and for a holiday rambled over the fields where sang the larks. and by Spoon River gathering many a shell and many a flower and medicinal weed, shouting to the wooded hills, singing to the green valleys. At 96, I had lived enough. That is all, and passed to sweet repose. What is this I hear of sorrow and weariness, anger, discontent, and drooping hopes? Degenerate sons and daughters, life is too strong for you. It takes life to love life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next thing I'm going to read is from a very new book. It's just in the process of being released. It's called On the Eve of Bright Sky, Poems for When in Doubt by Jeff Peterson. Jeff used to live here, and he lives in Tucson, Arizona now. And we have stayed close friends, and he comes up once a year, and he does a thing at Angelo's Roofing in that beautiful brick room. And so he sent this to me this week, and I want to read something out of Jeff's book. This one, they're short ones, so I'm going to do two. Last rites. Filling out forms, a problem. Afraid of using the wrong colored ink or checking the wrong box. Even to submit to questions required to get this published, a challenge. Fear of perforated silence. After all these years, I'll take my own advice and write my ex. She's dead, I know that, but explain to me why we can't have something to say when it suits us. Prayer extemp. Jesus, help me. I've made a mess of things, and I'm tired. I don't know what to do, and I can't go on doing it alone. Help me through this so that I know in my heart you're there. Jeff Peterson, On the Eve of Bright Sky. All right, next up, got to go back to the guys, you know. Greg, you want to come up? Next to the mic, Greg Brown.
Thank you, Thasia. I'm Greg Brown. This poem is going to be forthcoming in an anthology called North Coast Voices. So buy a copy. Should be out in like March, I think. You might be able to preview or pre-copy it, pre-buy it, pre-order it now through Main Street Rag. Something's happening technically. Okay, all right then.
Just follow the red dot.
Yeah. All right, this poem's called Relocation. Driving through our city, a new route reminds us paths of common transport define us. Asphalt arteries slice us up, and we believe we know the good side from the bad side of the tracks. Judgments made from the wheel of an automobile are different from those made in our shoes or from a low boat on the water. From there, the city seems to crouch all together behind its bluff. In the nowhere of the mall, suburban girls gossip of the ghetto mart, words that belie midnight's beautiful, the golden dome of a silent church, the dark bay below depopulated, a fallow field to wilderness returned by daylight each evening. The city heaves its tidal breath. Streetlights bleach the ancient stain of stars. Tonight, looking away from the pave, the thrill of vertigo comes, welcome in its strangeness. Disoriented and reeling, I could be standing anywhere on the spinning earth, rootless, with the cool air tangible as a caress, while the clock on the Boston store transforms into the moon. And this poem is called Aspiration, and it will appear in another anthology published locally, the Iconic Anthology. It's titled Aspiration for the McBride Viaduct. You can see the aspirations of the people on a cold day. In the breath of mouth and motor, the briefly visible gossamer of exhaust, a miracle of suspended frost. You can witness the values of a people in the way they count costs, how the city pushes snow off the streets into the sidewalks. The clouds of coke and steel are the aspirations of the people, the worship of automobile and dollars. Walking is meant to be a struggle, and the struggle is incentive to join the ranks of the productive. Vote for lower taxes, wider freeways. The railroads are antiquated but still useful boundaries, lines of red iron. Do not believe in higher aspirations. Forget the economy of nature. A verdant park arching into the sky is too much to ask. A thing unused by machine is a thing of no value. Or perhaps this thing is too good for us. Leave it to New York City or some other place more gifted. A humble city, you can grumble and complain, but not aspire. Hope is for leaving, an imagination of steel and exhaust, and some other place where the people are better. And continuing in a negative vein, but one I hope that will turn around. You know, if we face what we do, we turn it around. This poem is called Ally. America, you have put children in cages, toddlers alone before judges' benches. And I want to write for these victims, use words to fight, to comfort, reach out my hand, offer solace through the fences. But these kids would recoil from me because I look like their jailers. My face is the face of monsters. America, I look like a lyncher. When are we going to talk about the problems with white culture? The profiles of mass killers are mine. The complexion, the shape of nose and lip, the language that drops between my teeth. My face is the face of monsters who dress in uniforms in church basements, who shoot unarmed men in the back, who shoot unarmed children in parks. When we were little, we all learned to sing Dixie and play Smear the Queer. And all over America were these sick little sundown towns with their signs on the highway. Now, what kind of creature would let that happen? Oh, yeah, beasts that look like me. America, it's time to profile the men who wear the uniforms, who patrol the cages, who prowl the halls of Congress in expensive suits, who place statues of slavers between the people and the temples of justice. America, I look like a monster.
Okay, that's kind of hard to follow. Next, I was going to read out of my book, Still Standing, which was written in 2020 after I lost my only sibling, and my parents were already gone, and I'd lost my oldest son. So this is a collection of my whole life and memories of those people. My mother contracted polio when I was 6 years old, and my father left, because he was a great guy. And so this poem is called Normal, and it's about my mother. I watched my mother contract polio. I watched my mother kick it to the curb. Talk about pick yourself up by your bootstraps. She had to do that with only one hand. Life wasn't difficult. She turned every obstacle into a personal challenge. She could tie her sneakers one-handed faster than I could with two. We all learned adaptability. I learned how to crack an egg one-handed. I ironed on the wrong side of the ironing board and had no clue why. One time as a 30-year-old shop worker, I was sweeping the floor, and a coworker said, "Why do you do it like that?" I had my right arm wrapped around the broomstick, and I didn't use my left because I learned my normal from my disabled mother. And I realized that day, normal is just a setting on your dryer. All right, let's see. I'm looking straight back to M. Scott.
straight back. Put them all in the back row. So I'm gonna do my cover with what I call other people's work. Again, this is coming out of the Main Street Rag Fall 2025 issue. This is the one we just released 2 weeks ago, I guess it was. I'm the publisher, so I can say these things. Anyhow, I'm covering a lady named Jennifer Weiss. I do not know her. She's from Cary, North Carolina. Name of the poem is Half-Mast. The dogs knew something was wrong when Dad left for the hospital. Big-boned Fred and sprightly Chester missed their daily ambles, snuffling the roadside like truffle-seeking pigs, barking at distant dogs, tugging their harnesses when Dad stopped to talk politics with neighbors. When Mom returned, the day Dad died, they waited, patient in their crate, smelling her sadness. They nuzzled her, lingering when she opened the doggy door. For weeks after, they held their long tails at half-mast. When the doorbell rang, they stayed nearby. Chester climbed on Mom's lap. Fred snuggled beside her on the couch. Heads resting on paws, liquid brown eyes peeking from furry white faces, they surveyed visitors. Across from them, Dad's plaid easy chair sat empty. Fred's favorite squeaky toy lay before it, silent, like an offering. You know, when I was reading that too, I was thinking about my own dog. You know, I've got a cat that's on her last leg, and my dog is starting to get a little older too, and you know, it's just sad when you part, and you got to think about the animals too. What about them? How do they feel? And nobody can ever convince me that animals don't have feelings. I'm sorry, I ain't gonna buy it. So the next poem I'm going to read is one I wrote a few years ago. This is an anthology called Crossing the Rift, and it was put together by a friend of mine, Joseph Bethanti, who is a former North Carolina Poet Laureate. And this was done on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and the poems in here are supposed to pertain to the event. This one is mine. It's called 20 Years Later. I remember a school of silver skyfish shimmering against a clear blue backdrop. My first thought was, this is how vultures circle over a wounded animal, waiting for the inevitable. But they didn't glide as if at home. They cut and banked more like frantic sharks when blood is in the water. Blood was in the air that day. Even before I knew something was wrong. My highway ride to morning class was trafficless for once. The only sound was tire rubber humming on asphalt. Parking spaces were plentiful, and I wondered if I'd missed a memo. Take the day off, go for a ride. When a student parked nearby, I asked, "What's with all the planes?" And she told me. Glancing back to that moment and every moment since, we huddled around a small teacher's lounge TV and watched a second plane spear the second tower, knowing we were under attack, knowing planes swarmed overhead as someone sorted friend from foe. I wonder now if we will ever know the difference again. And this is a newbie like as 2 o'clock this afternoon. I've been playing with it a little bit for the weekend. Yeah, don't give me that. You've done it too. Anyhow, this is called Here We Are, and it's the first version anybody gets to hear, but it'll probably be the first of 50. And really, this is Erie inspired, because, you know, we just moved back here from North Carolina, and certain things when we're driving around spark things. So here we are. Everywhere I go in this town reminds me of uncomfortable truths. I've broken things, lost people, forgotten how I got here. I see the evidence on familiar streets, the neighborhood where I once lived, a crippled screen door dangling by one hinge on the first house I ever owned. They've reduced the grocery store on the corner to chipped concrete blocks and gravel parking lot. The church nearby is now a shelter for battered women. We used to own the night here, used to come and go in darkness here, where the sun never shined on our faces, never lit the pale places of our lives. Some saw it coming and didn't care. I bailed and moved on, expecting to find a fresh start somewhere else, a different street, a different town. My son thinks there's something magnetic about this place that drags people back. I don't see it that way. I see transients seeking lost youth at the scene of an imagined crime, hoping for a better outcome this time around. Thank you.
Well, thank you, M. Scott, because you gave me a segue into my newest poem that I wrote the other day. I have a friend who lives in Colorado. She's had a kidney transplant. She's got different disabilities that came from either the kidney or from the different medications that she has to be on. And she struggles with such beauty and grace all the time and never complaining. And she said something on Facebook about having a morning that felt a little bit like breaking. And this is what happens. You are a beacon into breaking the brokenness. You emote such strength, surviving survival, such a length of timelessness, unfortunately aware that you may wear an expiration date. You refuse to reuse old, outdated predictions and do not consider your current predicament. The heart of a lion and the soul that thrives, encouraging other lives to move forward and live full and fulfilled and fanciful dreams. That, it seems, is Rochelle. She's just amazing. All right, I'm looking around. I think Jane hasn't been up here yet.
Thank you. This Tuesday coming up is Veterans Day, so I have a few here to reflect on that. And I thank you veterans. Camouflage shroud. A soldier lives for duty and honor. Uniforms, always clean and pressed, are worn for parades and to bury their dead. Perhaps leaders think uniforms must appear clean and wrinkle-free, or else the truth of a soldier's life might be revealed. But reality cannot be dry cleaned. No amount of washing will ever remove the residue of war. Wrinkles and bloodstains, the ghosts of soldiers once buried deep, always bleed through, always. Uniforms may appear clean and pressed, but the soldier, and only the soldier, knows the true content of its fibers. Thank you. I'll go with this one. A little whimsical in a way. Barstool Boogie Blues. If I'm sitting at the bar, don't offer me a drink. Instead, drop a few coins in the jukebox over there. That is, if you wouldn't mind. I'd like to do some dancing, barstool dancing. My legs don't work so well, not since my third tour, when I left most of them behind, along with some friends. 2 others like me will be here soon. We can't dance very well, but we don't care. We meet to remember and honor those left behind. Do you know what war really is? It's blood and guts and screaming and death, with legs and arms and bodies detached. Old folks and mothers with babes in their arms, with fear in their eyes. You can never forget. When bombs and bullets come flying by, where can they go when there's nowhere to hide? So if you don't mind, feed the jukebox some coins. Come join us to honor the people we knew, and we'll show you some moves we call the Barstool Boogie Blues. I'll just do one more. This is called the Drumming Field. This field of hearts no longer beat, their voices silenced, now lie in peace. These soldiers follow beating drums, never knowing what's to come. Planting death, how dare we sow? The crops we tend will never grow. With dead entombed beneath this field, nothing more will ever yield. Although we know, we still must ask, will there be a name that's last? We planted here again today, hoping no more would have to pay. Still we plead with broken hearts. Is there not a better way? Thank you.
All right, I think we're up to Gary. We're getting there. Yeah.
I have a few offerings from the upcoming anthologies about town. The first one, The Fix. When I was little, I couldn't contain the energy that surged from the music generator in me. It bounced out of me in the rhythmic cadences of hopscotch and jump rope on the playground. It squirted from the soles of my feet, skipping home from school. It leaked from my knees under the covers at night as I tried to go to sleep. It was everywhere. I saw it in my dad's fingers, tapping on the arms of the chair as he read his newspaper. The early morning birds whistled it through my bedroom window. The wind swirled it through the branches of the willow tree in the yard. I heard it in the hey diddle diddle of every nursery rhyme. Later, I begged for a drum set, and then a horn, and then a guitar. But my impetuous fingers could never let them make the right sounds. I skated and twirled and somersaulted through the world on waves of wild dancing that drove the adults crazy until they found a solution. Medication turned off the music. The Fix. The anthology North Coast Voices, intended to bring the sounds of all of the Great Lakes, North Coast, to the printed word. And this is my commemorative to every drop of rain that makes its way into one of the Great Lakes. Wintergreen Gorge. A demonstration of the speed of slow time. 25 centuries later, the rush of the water releases the 4-ton rock for a 2-second, 30-foot splash into the pool below. Beginning again, the next 1,000-year move of 3 more inches on the journey down the gorge. The mix of water, gravity, and time to produce erosion. And then there's the Ode to Crack. Crack the hush to bring relief. Crack the clouds to brighten. Crack a smile to kindle warmth. Crack the whip to frighten. Crack the rust to set things free. Or crack a joke to lighten.
And now I am very excited to invite up my new friend who came here for the first time tonight. Come on up and introduce yourself and give us a little sample of your work. You're welcome.
Thank you, Thasia. My name is Jordan. When I perform, I like to put on a persona, so I go by Naughty Mouse. I was thinking about what to do tonight, if I could hop on the mic, and I feel like it was confirmed in my mind when I saw that our Dark Lord, Dick Cheney, passed, and with the election of Mondani and the 9/11 poem earlier, I kind of wanted to offer my own 9/11 poem. So it's an older one of mine, but I grew up a few miles from where Flight 93 crashed. So it's a different perspective on that day, I think. It goes like this. Whenever they tell you to remember the ill-fated 11th of September, they never want you to focus on the fact that everyone came together. On that day, 10 people hit 2 towers, and before they fell, they burned for hours, while hundreds of people climbed the stairs wearing all of the gear that people must wear when they are one of those that we have hired to run not away but into a fire. And those were just the first of the everyday heroes, thousands that came running down to ground zero, not just firefighters, but police and paramedics pulling all-nighters, triple duty like sleep, forget it. Because out there in the ash and the rubble, there could be one more person hurting in trouble. So they dug and they dug and they dug as the days turned to weeks and their lungs turned black because they knew no matter what, their families were going to want their bodies back. When they tell you never forget, they don't mean any of these facts. They say, remember, but don't take the time to remind you of the giant impromptu evac. See, while the towers burnt in Manhattan, no one knew what next would happen. The island was choked with dust and smoke. The subways and the bridges were shut down. People started to jump in the East River to flee what they feared was a killing ground. So the Coast Guard went for broke. They hopped up on the radio calling anyone with boats. And from all directions they came, tens of thousands, and anything that would float, like proof you can find all you need in the hearts of ordinary folks. 4 places would have been hit that day if 10 people had had their way. The only reason it was 3 and not more was the people on plane number 4, because some of them kept their cell phones on, and they heard about the planes hitting the Twin Towers and the Pentagon, and they were shocked, and they stopped dead. And they were scared, but they said, well, if today is my last day, then I am not going out that way. And if you still doubt the truth, if you need more proof that people will sacrifice for the many, Mark Sasseville and Heather Penny, sent to get the 4th plane on jets so fast, they didn't even have missiles attached yet. They flew off at the speed of sound with one way to bring that plane down, not knowing the people on board had already put it in the Pennsylvania ground, just knowing their success meant their death. They tell you never forget, but they want you to focus on the flames and forget the rest. I think that's why they call what came next the aftermath. They want your eyes to slide right past human compassion on a scale so vast it might be more than our minds can grasp. The chain of hearts and hands and brains from the firefighters to the EMTs to the staff in the ER rooms who went knee-deep through a bloodbath, pulling people back from the tombs like, this day shall not be your last. They don't want you to remember that. They want your mind focused on the same handful of frames, the last few seconds of flight of 3 of those planes, the towers and their halo of flames, and the number of Americans slain because they want your anger and your rage and your pain. They want you ready to be trained, to drop a bomb out of a plane or to put two in someone's brain. They want you so mad that your mind short circuits and you don't stop to ask, is any of this worth it? Or the most basic question, do heroes take life or protect and nurture it? Thank you. Thank you.
My father was a fireman. You're leaving me unable to speak. Is there anybody else in the audience that wants to come up with the need to read? I think I see someone on the camera who has something to read. It's totally up to you. If you don't want to come up, you don't have to. Okay, and we appreciate that so much, Michael. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, I'm going to grab a book and read one last poem tonight. I'm going to read one of my fan favorites, Team Dodgeball, because I'm left very emotional right now. I was the frail little scrawny girl they always picked last and always went after first. And then in 6th grade, Pat Wagner, the kid who was already like 6 foot and the hero, he was up, ball in hand. He looked right at me and smiled. I could see the blood in his eyes. The ball hit me in the stomach so hard that it took me off my feet and I hit the floor, wham, on my butt. I couldn't breathe and I gasped air in. Through the fog, I could hear cheering and I felt shame. But when I looked up, it was my team cheering, and I looked down and realized that the ball was still wrapped in my arms and I could taste red rubber, and Pat Wagner, mouth agape, was out. And that will be the last poem of the evening. We will be back on December 3rd for Poets Know It. You can come to the studio and sit and watch. You can read your own poetry. You can read a poem from your favorite author. And you can watch this on Facebook at home and find us on YouTube later. So if you're trying to find out information on how to watch Poets Know It, Chuck knows, I know, and you can call Cam Erie and they can tell you how to find it. So this is Poets Know It, and we are out.